Miren cómo estaba hace 4 años, hace 3-4 años de nieve, las montañas circundantes de California y cómo se encuentra ahora mismo el macizo montañoso que está próximo al Océano Pacífico. Veamos otra fotografía. Esta fotografía es de un embalse realmente esclarecedor. En el año 2011 estaba soltando agua. En el año 2014 está absolutamente vacío. Vamos al siguiente. Fíjense, el lago Oroville. La imagen lo dice todo. Qué paraíso, qué desierto.
The world's largest food company, Nestlé, has found itself in trouble for bottling water in drought-stricken California. Giant's permit expired almost 3 decades ago. The company is pumping around 300 million litres of water a year. So, since the permit ended 26 years ago, Nestlé has taken some 8 billion litres. And some number crunching shows that this would be enough to give every American 1 litre every month.
Sin previo aviso, el calbuco se ha despertado de un profundo sueño de más de 50 años y ha vuelto a la vida cargado de energía. El cielo de la región chilena de los lagos ha añadido a su paisaje esta densa columna de humo y cenizas.
Searching for survivors following the biggest disaster to hit Nepal in over 80 years, and the government has yet to assess the full scale of the damage. 4 days on from the 7.9 magnitude earthquake, Prime Minister Sushil Koirala announced the death toll could reach 10,000. It currently stands at more than 4,500. The United Nations estimates the quake has affected up to 8 million people, over a quarter of Nepal's population.
Massive wildfire in northern Ukraine is spreading, with the flames rapidly spreading towards the former Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Emergency crews are trying to control the fire, which already engulfs a large part of a 400-hectare forest and is about 20 kilometers from the Chernobyl itself. Now, the zone is heavily contaminated by radiation after the world's worst nuclear power accident ever, which was in 1986.
I
think the first lesson is that this is a technology that can destroy a nation. I was reading Mikhail Gorbachev's memoirs, and he claims that it was Chernobyl, not perestroika, that destroyed the Soviet Union.
You can see the sarcophagus which is surrounding the exploded reactor. They built the cement tomb to try and control the radioactivity inside, but because they had to build it in a hurry, it's actually in a very fragile condition. There's like untold quantities of water which comes in as rainfall through the cracks, and it's literally hanging and the roof is about to collapse inside. And yet in 1986 it only spewed out about 3% of its full potential, and the balance is actually still remaining inside, which is a very scary thought. And the scientists say that the next Chernobyl will be Chernobyl itself. It's just to think that that innocuous little complex over there, that building, has caused the destruction of 9 million lives, half of which are children under the age of 5. You know, there's nothing that shows the sort of violence of what came out of there, because, I mean, radiation is invisible. So I suppose my predominant emotion is of like really deep sadness, especially when you know the kids and, you know, you see the look in their eyes, you know, the children that know themselves that there's no hope in their future.
А у вас тоже щитовидка у всех, да? Да. Все, да? И ты тоже? Все. А можно так посмотреть? Покажите, что у вас было. А вы все из Гомельской области или сразу? Breast region as well.
Is it painful to talk?
Болит даже разговаривать, да?
Most people aren't familiar with, I mean, we all know, I think, at this point that radioactivity and cancer go together, but like heart problems, heart disease, how does that connect?
Well, one of the most fascinating things that I learned when I was rewriting the text of the book and going through all the data was one of the scientists, Bandashevsky, had done a study that showed that the cesium-137 levels in children were the same as he had found in test animals and were causing heart damage.
60% have got ECG modification. That means what is ECG? This is electrocardiogram. It means your heart's not working. It means that 60% of the children who've got this level, 12 to 25 becquerels per kilogram, their heart isn't working. Isn't this extraordinary?
Я 7 лет болею.
Тебе сейчас сколько?
Мне уже 14.
7 лет болеешь, да? Чем болеешь?
Системно-красная лучанка.
А что у тебя болит, расскажи?
У меня болело сердце. Что?
How would that, what would be the relationship there between radioactivity and a deterioration of intellectual capability?
Well, while a mother is pregnant, she is eating food, and what happened was that most of the people either did not know or they did not have access to food that was not contaminated. These isotopes are taken into the body while a woman is pregnant. They are transported through her body to the unborn and damage the heart, the lungs.
Are all these kids mentally ill?
It's a mixed unit altogether, so you can find that you have children in here that are, you know, that are perfectly normal, but they have physical disabilities, and that's kind of sad.
И не болит, если ты садишься?
Нет.
А как ты вот двигаешься? Вот так и передвигаешься, а в школу?
А в школу меня носят.
Кем ты хочешь быть?
Врачом.
Let to be a doctor. А почему? Почему ты такую профессию выбрал?
Чтобы лечить детей.
In December of 2011, the Prime Minister at that time, Prime Minister Noda, made an official declaration that the accident at Fukushima nuclear power plant number 1 had been brought to a close. My reaction on hearing his words were, "Stop kidding." The reality is that even though 4 years have passed, the accident situation has not yet been brought to a close at all. There was a danger that the spent fuel rods in that spent fuel pool might eventually, because they were still continuing to emit heat, that eventually all the water in that pool would dry up. And if the pool water would all dry up, that would create a situation where the spent fuel rods would begin to melt themselves. And that would create a terrible situation where probably people in the Tokyo area would have to evacuate as well. Even as we sit here talking today, every single moment, people in this area, centered primarily around the Fukushima prefecture area, are receiving radiation. And this being irradiated, being exposed to radiation situation will continue for years to come, for decades to come, possibly for centuries to come. TEPCO last year did some research. They took water samples from wells that were in the facility. And from one of the wells, they were able to get this kind of data. This was in October of last year. With cesium-137, the allowed limit is only 90 becquerels per liter, but it's 190,000 becquerels per liter that were discovered in this well. So that's over 2,000 times the legal limit of emissions allowed into the environment. It is often said that radioactivity or radiation is something that is very difficult to sense using any of the 5 senses, and that's only a normal. That makes sense, because if you were able to actually sense the radioactive materials, it would be of such an amount that you would immediately die. However, although what I've been describing is quite grave, we have an even more serious issue facing us, which is the reactor cores have melted in units 1 to 3. What are we going to do about that? Number 1 plant accident is several hundred times the equivalent of what was emitted by the Hiroshima bomb. And it is an ongoing process. It is not yet finished. And the only possible way we can eventually deal with this accident is to do what was done in Chernobyl, which is to create a concrete coffin or sarcophagus for the facility.
number of migrants fleeing to Europe from the Middle East and Africa has surged dramatically in the past 5 years. Back in 2010, some 4,500 arrived via the Mediterranean. The next year, though, following the intervention in Libya, the number spiked to 42,000. And by 2014, the increase rose to 400%, and it continues to grow today. But this doesn't seem to be a consequence, perhaps, that Western leaders considered after going into Libya.
The United States is committed to the Libyan people. You have won your revolution.
We came, we saw, he died.
The people of Libya have gotten rid of a dictator, and guess what? They got a chance now.
You showed the world you would get rid of a dictator and you would choose freedom. Vive Benghazi! Vive la Libye! Vive l'amitié entre la France et la Libye!
But those who celebrated the arrival of democracy in Libya are starting to change their tunes after almost 5 years of violence.
It is a fact that Libya is not managed anymore, not even governed anymore. It is experiencing chaos, and the question is, how is it that after an intervention, which took place more than 3 years ago, there has been no reflection on what should happen after? So now we need to fix yesterday's mistakes.
There are two states that rampage in the Middle East, carry out aggression, violence, terrorist acts, illegal acts constantly. They're both huge nuclear weapon states, and their nuclear armaments are not being considered.
And who exactly are you referring to there?
The United States and Israel, the two major rogue states in the world. I mean, there's a reason why in international polls run by U.S. polling agencies, the main ones, the United States is regarded as the greatest threat to world peace by an overwhelming margin. No other country's even close. Incidentally, it's kind of interesting that the U.S. media refused to publish this. Remember, the worst
terrorist campaign in the world right now, by far, is the one that's being orchestrated in Washington. That's the global assassination campaign. There's never been a terrorist campaign at that scale.
When you say global assassination campaign...
The drone campaign. That's exactly what it is. Over large parts of the world, the United States is systematically, publicly, openly carrying out regular campaigns to assassinate people who the U.S. government suspects of intending to harm us someday.
Demonstrations were first sparked by leaked tapes of politicians appearing to try to cover up a murder. 2 ministers resigned, however, political tension remains. Washington and Brussels quickly slamming the Macedonian government and telling it to cooperate with the opposition. This prompted a reaction from Moscow, which accused the West of trying to foment a new color revolution.
A red light goes on for me whenever I hear the Americans criticising a government and demanding they take action to address legitimate, supposedly, grievances. Of course, the grievances of corruption are Balkan-wide and endemic in the region. There's nothing new there. But as in Ukraine, as in Yugoslavia in 1999, and now in Macedonia, American pressure always is self-serving, and it's designed to achieve an American end.
La verdadera idea de la retirada del efectivo es ya llegar al absoluto control de la economía, como mínimo la economía occidental, y el absoluto control de las personas. Porque mientras exista el efectivo, existe una puerta por la cual las personas podemos escaparnos del control de los bancos. Pero en el momento en que para cualquier cosa solo se necesite una tarjeta con un chip, las personas dejamos de tener absolutamente total libertad de movimiento económico, al menos dentro de lo que es la estructura oficial del Estado. Y entonces protegerán esta gran burbuja piramidal que es el sistema económico actual.
Diez años después de su lanzamiento comercial, la soja Roundup Ready representa el 90% de la soja cultivada en Estados Unidos y el 70% de los alimentos vendidos en los comercios americanos contiene productos transgénicos. A diferencia de lo que ocurre en Europa, los consumidores no pueden elegir porque está prohibido etiquetarlos como transgénicos. En América del Norte, cualquier granjero que compre semillas transgénicas debe firmar un contrato de empleo de la tecnología, mediante el cual se compromete a respetar la patente que la compañía posee sobre el gen manipulado.
En Estados Unidos, los alimentos transgénicos están protegidos por la ley de patentes. Por esa razón, no tengo derecho a guardar granos para sembrarlos el año siguiente. Es una protección para Monsanto y las empresas dedicadas a la biotecnología, porque han invertido muchos millones de dólares para crear esta tecnología nueva.
En el caso de que aparecieran variedades que nos pertenecen, de forma no intencionada, en las tierras de un agricultor, nos comprometemos a encontrar una solución que satisfaga tanto al agricultor como a nosotros. Pero la realidad resulta mucho menos idílica. Troy Rush y David Runyon cultivan soja tradicional. Los dos han sido víctimas de lo que en Estados Unidos llaman la policía de los genes. Creada por Monsanto para imponer su ley en los campos, la policía de los genes siembra el terror en el campo norteamericano, donde se denuncian los métodos totalitarios de un mundo dominado por los transgénicos. ¿Por qué hace todo eso Monsanto?
Para controlarlo todo.
¿Las semillas?
Sí. Quieren controlar la simiente. Quieren apoderarse de la vida. Se trata de la base de nuestra alimentación. Quieren apoderarse de la comida, de toda la alimentación.
México es el lugar originario del maíz. En la región de Oaxaca, al sur del país, existen más de 150 variedades locales. Esa gran biodiversidad es un tesoro universal que protege la reserva genética de maíz conservada por millones de campesinos mexicanos. Para proteger la diversidad de su maíz, México ha prohibido los cultivos transgénicos. Sin embargo, en el marco del Tratado de Libre Comercio firmado con Estados Unidos y Canadá, el país no puede impedir la importación masiva de maíz americano transgénico en un 40%. Destinado exclusivamente al consumo humano y animal, el maíz americano amenaza la producción local. Fuertemente subvencionado por la administración de Washington, el maíz industrial, como aquí se le llama, cuesta 2 veces menos que el maíz tradicional.
Este es el maíz morado. Antiguamente mis abuelitos sembraban. Ahorita se sigue conservando. Así es.
Antes de la conquista ya.
Sí. No, y ya viene la otra conquista.
¿Cuál es la otra conquista?
Transgénico, pues. El transgénico. Para tumbar esto. Y desaparecer lo criollo para que reine el maíz hecho. Vamos a depender mucho de eso porque vamos a tener que poner fertilizante que ellos vendan, insecticida que ellos vendan. Todo lo que ellos tengan que vender, tenemos que comprarlo para que haya maíz, no va a haber. Sin embargo, el criollo, sin ponerle abono, ni insecticida, ni nada.
Actualmente en India, Monsanto controla prácticamente la totalidad del mercado de simiente de algodón. Una manera de imponer sus semillas transgénicas 4 veces más caras que las semillas convencionales. Para conseguirlas, los campesinos se ven obligados a empeñarse con intereses de usura. Si la cosecha es mala, van a la quiebra. Es una espiral infernal que está diezmando las aldeas indias. Pero pocos han denunciado este escándalo internacional que enfrenta en un combate desigual al fuerte con el débil.
En las zonas de Vidarbha, donde se cultiva el arroz, se producen pocos suicidios. Esta es la zona donde se cultiva el algodón. El resultado del algodón vete es que el primer año hubo 600 suicidios. El segundo año, tan solo 6 meses después, ya llevamos 680 suicidios. Es un desastre.
Ellos siempre han dicho que la manipulación genética es un medio para conseguir patentes. Ese es su verdadero objetivo. Si observan la estrategia de investigación que Monsanto desarrolla en este momento, la compañía está probando una veintena de plantas en las que ha insertado el gen BT, la mostaza, el gumbo, la berenjena, el arroz, la coliflor. Una vez que imponga como norma el derecho de propiedad sobre los granos modificados genéticamente, podrá empezar a cobrar derechos de autor. Todos dependeremos de Monsanto por cada semilla que plantemos y cada campo que cultivemos. Si controla las simientes, controlará la alimentación. Y ellos lo saben, esa es su estrategia. Eso es más poderoso que las bombas, más poderoso que las armas.
there is a large police-state takeover program. It continued through Bush and is now expanding under Obama. They have huge exercises like Jade Helm going on right now in 10 states where they practice blending in and taking over towns. This has dual uses overseas, but it's really about dominating and controlling domestic populations. Then you add the NSA warrantless spying. You have the IRS taking people's bank accounts with no judge, no jury, no indictment, asset forfeiture seizure, the drones, the cameras on the street corners, the license plate readers. This is beyond what Orwell could imagine. So the police state isn't coming, it's here. Martial law isn't coming, it's here. We still have some free speech, we still have some basic freedoms, so they run in parallel. But Jade Helm this summer isn't a martial law takeover, it's just another increment of the tyranny we're already under.
Here's the commercial with the audio levels boosted and a transcript of what is being said by this TV news announcer. It's not going to be heard consciously, but it may be picked up subliminally by the viewer. So the obvious question is, why is this subliminal message appearing in a public service announcement for caregiving put out by an insurance company? It has no place whatsoever within the context of the ad.
You see, police officers, civilians, we think we're against each other. Actually, we're both being played. There was a German philosopher called Hegel, and he talked about something called the Hegelian dialectic. What this was is thesis, which is a problem, antithesis, reaction, synthesis, which is a solution. So problems are created. Now you're gonna react and someone is gonna give you a solution. So you've got to be smart. I say the greatest revolution is the emancipation of your mind, heart, and spirit. That is what they are really afraid of.
incredibly for the last 5,700 years on an intense level every day. Our real manipulation really started about 14,000 years ago. The Greys have really only been here 59 years, but because of their time travel capabilities, they've gone back in time and they've been able to manipulate series of historical events, bring us to where we are now, to where we are asking for somebody to come in and save us. And they're already here.
Is there an Earth quarantine that the renegade Zeta Reticulans violated?
Yes. No intervention with an evolving race. But because of our genetic stock, the Greys did it. But they did it in such a way that they didn't totally violate our free will. You know, they dangled a technological carrot to the government. And the government took the bait. They said, sure, you know, for their own reasons, they took the bait. And there was an exchange of technology. You know, if the United States military had said, go away, the Greys would have had to have left. Well, the Greys are trying to create a sub-race. That is a blend between human culture, the human race, and their race.
A kind of a hybrid Sith.
Exactly. And one of the things that they're trying to do is they're really looking for the soul. They don't understand the soul. They don't understand our extremes of emotions as well, because they're very, very different from us. Their experiments haven't been all that successful, because what really makes a human being is our essence, is the spirit that animates the physical form. Well, there's also another factor, and that is that they actually feed off the energy. They're vampire. They feed off the energy. They can even bottle the energy and use it for later times. They're also stealing the vital bodies of human beings and storing it. So, I mean, they're just doing some really horrific things here that other races just simply wouldn't conceive of doing. Certain groups of power elite are in touch with them on a physical level. Well, many of them are implanted. Many of them are so implanted that they have now become part of the Grey group mind. They're nothing but clones for what the Greys want. And they pass down orders, they tell others what to do.
How will the renegade Zeta Reticulans have to be removed?
It's, well, if we can create, if humanity makes a real commitment to create an environment of unconditional love and simply refuses to hate, to go to war, to kill each other and destroy our planet, they'll have to leave because they can't deal with the vibration.
What would be the outcome if human beings believed that renegade Zeta Reticulans were the hope of mankind?
We would know a tyranny and an enslavement that is far beyond anything we could even imagine. We'll never be free again. We'll never be free again. We will be stuck until we're rescued by an outside force. We ourselves will not be able to break free. That's the bottom line. And right now, we have an opportunity. There is a window of time for us to break free, to do it ourselves. But the real strength in us, in our own permanent evolvement as a race, will come from us standing up, taking a stand and saying, you know what? No way. We're not going to do this. We're not going to destroy ourselves for your enjoyment so you can feed off of us. You know, you have no right to manipulate our governments, you know, to create wars. None of this was right. And that's it. We need to stand up as a race, exercise our free will and say, you know what? We don't want to live this way anymore. You know, this apathy's got to end. Otherwise, the way we live is going to end. Look at what's happening around us. The indications are everywhere. Everywhere. The truth is now an obscure thing. You know, the lie is the norm. There's something wrong here. What's wrong with this picture?
What is the ultimate agenda then of the Alpha Draconians in relation to Earth and to this part of the galaxy?
They do not want our galaxy to move into fourth and fifth density consciousness, because they lose complete power. You see, the Draconians are third density. They're physical just like us. They can only move into fourth density by mechanical means. If we move into fourth and fifth density, they've lost their playground. They've lost control of what they want to control. The Earth herself, as an entity, spiritual entity, wants to move into fourth and fifth density, but she can't yet because of the consciousness of humanity. And in order for her to do it without humanity, shape up, or humanity has to be removed. But right now, this is where the battle is, between light and dark. You've got the grays over us, you've got the reptilians underneath us, and between us you've got humanity. You've got the American people, I mean all of the world, but you've got humanity sandwiched in the middle, wondering what the hell is going on here. You know, there are people probably saying, well, God, why don't they just come down and save us? There's a lot to that. If we're rescued, we don't permanently evolve ourselves. Look at how we've treated our Earth. You know, they're like, why should we come down here and help you when you don't want to even help yourself or even make the effort?
En los últimos años se han detectado ciertas anomalías, no solo en nuestro planeta, también en nuestro sistema solar. Últimamente el Sol se está comportando de manera bastante anómala. La rotación solar va en aumento según las observaciones de la estación solar Kislovodsk en el observatorio de Pulkovo en San Petersburgo, Rusia. Muchos planetas están sufriendo unos cambios climáticos mucho mayores que los que suceden en el nuestro. En Marte, los casquetes polares se han fundido en tan solo un año. La atmósfera de Marte se está volviendo más densa. Los planetas Venus, Urano y Neptuno se han vuelto más brillantes. Se puede ver que Venus brilla en la oscuridad, y eso nunca lo había hecho. La carga energética de Júpiter ha aumentado y Saturno ha perdido parte de sus anillos. Pero, ¿cuál es el origen de estas anomalías? En 1998, el astrofísico Dr. Alexei Dmitri afirmó que el sistema solar está entrando en una nube interestelar de energía de origen desconocido y que esta nueva fuerza que está interactuando con la materia es muy probable que influya en la Tierra y también en los seres vivos de este planeta. Continúa diciendo que esta nube de energía puede durar entre 2000 y 3000 años. Los científicos discuten si esto es una anomalía o una amenaza. No saben lo que está pasando. Esta nube de energía que está cambiando el Sol y todo el sistema solar también está influyendo en la atmósfera de la Tierra. El clima está cambiando, pero no solo se ha alterado el clima, también nos encontramos con que la actividad sísmica de nuestro planeta ha aumentado alarmantemente en los últimos años. La Estación Espacial Europea afirmó que se está debilitando el campo magnético en todo el planeta y también que el punto norte se está desplazando hacia Siberia. Los científicos de la NASA afirman que puede haber una inversión de los polos. Estas anomalías producidas por esta misteriosa energía no solo afectan a la Tierra y a nuestro sistema solar, están afectando al ser humano y a la sociedad en la que vivimos. En nuestra sociedad el sistema económico se está desmoronando. todo indica que habrá un cambio muy importante. Está saliendo a la luz la manipulación a la que nos someten las sociedades secretas, la corrupción de todos los gobiernos del mundo, los abusos y los engaños que antes se mantenían ocultos. Estamos empezando a conocer la verdad que nos han ocultado durante siglos. Estos cambios no solo se están produciendo en nuestro macrouniverso, también los percibimos en nuestro microuniverso, es decir, nuestro interior. Los seres humanos estamos cambiando. Hace algunos años, en la Ciudad de México, hubo una convención de genetistas de todo el mundo, y el tema principal fue los cambios en el ADN. El Sol, los planetas, la Tierra, el ser humano, todos estamos siendo envueltos por esta energía galáctica. Sin lugar a dudas, todos tenemos esa sensación de que algo está sucediendo, de que algo está cambiando en nosotros y en el mundo que nos rodea. Puede que este cambio sea natural y sea cíclico, como lo indica el calendario maya, y realmente estemos entrando en esa tan ansiada primavera galáctica, la época dorada que nos lleva al conocimiento de uno mismo y del universo.
awareness emerging. It's a wonderful time to be alive as we start to have the opportunity to literally build a new world, to decode a new world. And these truth vibrations, this vibrational change is going into these dark places, these places where the energy of the old epoch is controlled from, when the secret societies and this Satanism and all these low cesspit vibrational expressions of this whole epoch in the control system. It's not going to seem like, it's going to seem for a few little years yet that the control system's moving on and moving on, but there's going to come a tipping point when it's coming down, and it's coming down because its information basis is going out and being replaced by another one which it doesn't do control systems and power over. But then you ask the question, why is this control system throwing everything at us just at the time that this energetic change is coming, which is waking people up to see the control system? That is not by accident. It is by the fact that the control system, which appears to be getting stronger and stronger, is actually desperately throwing its last cards to try to hold on to a power structure which has got no chance of survival. No chance. Because a new energy is being breathed into this control mechanism, and it's going to break up. It is breaking up. It's not the majority yet, but the numbers that are waking up and seeing it now is just fantastic. And as we work with this new energy, as we become affected by the new energy and the lion energy comes out, no more acquiescence, no more fear, no more little me, then that expression in the holographic realm of the vibrational change in the metaphysical universe, if you like, together is going to bring this control system to an end. And that's why these people, for all their arrogance and for all their apparent power, are terrified of humans waking up. What has happened, however, is as they knew this vibrational change was coming and the potential effect it would have, they're trying now to throw everything at us to hold on to the power they've had all this period. All these things from GM food, microchips, the stuff we eat, the drugs, the mobile phone and magnetic pollution, it's all designed to do one thing. It's to destabilize the body computer so we don't get the full impact of this magnificent change that is now unfolding. One of the ways that they're doing it, I'm sure, is manipulating the Earth's magnetic field to try to deflect frequencies that will have an effect upon us in terms of waking us up. This technology called HAARP. And what HAARP does is bounce radio waves off the ionosphere, the upper level of the atmosphere, and back down to Earth. And yes, it can manipulate the weather. Yes, it can manipulate earthquakes and many other things. But I say that its true foundation reason for being there is to pour or support the suppression of the Earth's energy field vibrationally so that we do not again get the full impact of this truth vibrational change. And I'm sure that what's coming out of the chemtrails all over the world is also linked to this. It's almost like they're trying to create some sub-vibrational reality around the Earth, the level that we all live in, as a barrier to this vibrational change they've long known is coming. Wars, conflicts, hunger in a world of plenty, self-obsession, arguments, anger, frustration. And it's the schism on energy on which the control system is built. Without that, the world couldn't be as it is. If the energetic foundation of this reality was harmonious, then the control system couldn't manifest, because it's a manifestation of disharmony, of distortion, distorted values that want control over, distorted perceptions of me. What these truth vibrations do as you tune to them is they heal you within, and together they're healing this schism. And if we will open to them, they are healing or will heal the schism in the human psyche.